guys, and welcome to the Grace Under Pressure podcast. I am joined today by Miss Kendall Vernon, the founder and CEO of Gaidama, and just wanted to get her story and get her perspective on all things jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu apparel and combat gear. And so thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Oh, I am too. So tell us, how did you get into jiu-jitsu and just a little bit of your backstory?
Sure. Okay. Well, so my dad did jujitsu and judo my whole life. So I grew up with, him doing that. And every time we'd go travel anywhere, he'd always go train somewhere. So I was used to him, having connections everywhere that we went. He was always jacked, so I saw him like be in good shape all the time from it and everything. And when I moved to Tulsa, which is where I'm at now,
Mhm.
I came here to get my master's degree. They gave me a full ride at the one of the private schools here that has a really good computer engineering program. So I came here for my master's degree. And while I was going to school here, I decided to find something that was like an athletic endeavor that could offer a little bit of community. And just kind of on a whim, I Googled jujitsu near me. And my husband's gym, which he had just opened at the time, popped up. And so I showed up on the doorstep and, decided to give it a try. And then here we are.
Wow. Well, how many, if you don't mind me asking, how many years ago was that?
I'm coming up on 7.5 years. I'm going to turn up my volume just a little bit. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, I'm having a little hard time. Yeah, I can hear you much better now.
Oh,
Okay, yeah,
good, good.
about 7.5 years. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. Time flies. And so
I know. Yeah.
it sounds like you, same as I, met your husband through jujitsu.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I
That's
love
how
it.
it happened. Yeah.
I love it. Did he make the first move or did you?
It was kind of mutual, I think. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That's
He'll
so.
probably say that I'm the one that did. So I guess I can admit it.
So, I guess the follow-up question to that, so we get into jujitsu. What sparked you to get into jujitsu apparel and, rash guards? And I mean, how was that started?
Well, um, after a couple years of training and trying literally everything that I could find on the market for women's jujitsu gear,
Hmm.
particularly the spats I found the biggest issue with because I would not train without wearing some kind of compression shorts over under my spats for
Hmm.
2.5 years. And it was a bummer because I'd find some spats that I liked, some artwork on, but it always sucked to have to cover up the hip part of the artwork with compression shorts or, and so it was just kind of annoying. And nothing stayed up. And, like I said, everything was just the same fabric, see-through fabrics and everything. And
Yeah.
nothing really fit right.
Hmm.
And so I decided to make my own. I
Hmm.
do have a background in like cosplay. I was kind of a cosplay nerd growing up.
Okay.
So I've, been sewing, designing patterns and sewing stuff like pretty much my whole life too. So it was, sort of a natural thing to do to decide to design and sew my own pair, which I sewed the first pair in my living room. And eventually I started contacting some manufacturers. So I contacted about 20 different manufacturers for the first pair of spats. And then I went with the one that offered the best product and the best customer service
Hmm.
and just decided to bring them to market and they hit. So
Yeah.
yeah, here we are.
That's to say it's the only pair I have worn that is not totally see-through and
Yeah.
doesn't,
Yeah.
show things in an unflattering way, to
Yeah, for
say it
sure.
nicely.
Yeah.
I think I have
Thank you.
gone through six or not maybe six pairs just because I love them so much and I'll wear them until they're threadbare, just about. So,
Thank you.
so I mean, how I guess with the background and sewing and those sorts of things, how have you seen the quality has I will say nobody does it quite as well as your company, but
Thank you.
how have you seen maybe other competitors pop up and how do you try to stay in that competitive edge?
Well, as far as I know, we were the first company to exclusively focus on women's jujitsu. I know that there have been tons of companies that have come before us that have sold uh, women's gear, but as far as I know, we were the first ones to ever redesign the patterns from the ground up for women in jujitsu. Um, since then, there have been a number of other brands that I've noticed coming up, some of which seem to, in many ways, directly copy what we're doing, which I suppose is flattering. Sometimes annoying, if I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest, but it's a form of flattery. Um, but we really don't focus too much on what other people are doing.
Hmm.
We have our own vision and plan and goals, and we're really just like, heads down, let's do what we want to do and make the changes that we want to make
Hmm.
and that kind of thing. What other people are doing, like I see glimpses of it here and there, and sometimes it's, an eye roll situation, but
Hmm.
you know, it doesn't really affect what we do.
I like it, and I like the positive spin on people that may be
Yeah,
doing basically what you're doing, because
yeah,
imitation is the
yeah,
highest form of flattery.
true. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so I heard you mentioning you want to do the things you want to do. So how do you decide, when's it time to release this new product? How do you test ideas before you launch them and decide what's going to hit, so to speak?
Um, to be honest, I don't have like a very like written down plan for how all that works. A lot of it just kind of happens organically. Evolutions of products come a lot from direct feedback from our community. So we're
Hmm.
very open and receptive to feedback, and we're constantly looking for ways to improve upon what we've already started.
Hmm.
New product ideas, sometimes they also are generated from the community. Sometimes people reach out to us and say, hey, it would be really awesome if we had a product like this. And if
Hmm.
we get enough people that seem like they're interested in something, then it's something that we decide to invest in research and development and production and prototyping. Um, Sometimes it comes from us too. Like I say us, I do have a business partner now,
Hmm.
Carla Shellhammer.
Hmm.
She handles all of our social media. And so she's also a very creative person, and she's a black belt. She's been training almost exactly as long as I have, actually. Um, and so we both, talk to each other very regularly, like, hey, what do you think about this idea? What about that? Like, I noticed, sometimes we draw inspiration from other combat sports too, like
Hmm.
uh, sambo or wrestling or, just anything really. Um, so it comes from all over the place. And as far as like when things get released, some of that is strategic, but most of it is just kind of, once we feel confident in a product
Hmm.
and we feel like we've done our due diligence and prototyping and testing, then we bring it to market. For instance, I really have high hopes that we'll have geese released this year,
Ooh, nice.
which have been in the prototyping phase for almost 3 years. So,
Jeez.
yeah, since like the very beginning. So, things take a long time. The spats, before I launched the company, I
Hmm.
prototyped those for 2 years. So,
Wow.
I feel very strongly about making sure that what I put my reputation behind is going to be a quality product.
Hmm.
So we do spend a lot of time and resources and research and development and testing, iteration after iteration after iteration, making a change, retest, make a change, retest until it's ready.
Hmm. And I can imagine in that prototype, research and development phase, you're seeing what works. It may work on a mat, in just regular training, but then when you get to the competition side, ooh, that may not work as well. Is that something you've seen or?
Um, Generally, if it's going to hold up training in the gym, it's going to hold up in competition.
Hmm.
Um, we have had a little bit of struggles with like graphics not
Mm,
being accepted by the IBJJF
right.
for some of our ranked stuff. And we've had situations where someone was allowed to wear something at one IBJJF tournament and then not allowed to wear the same thing at another one. And even
Yeah.
though there were other people wearing the same thing. So there's been like some, kind of tricky things to navigate there. But again, that's, feedback that we receive and then back to the drawing board, like we're not
Hmm.
giving up on that. It's just back to the drawing board.
Hmm.
But generally speaking, like if something's gonna hold up when you're training hard every single day, grinding on the mats, like that's where we spend most of our time training.
Hmm.
And so it's gonna hold up there. It's probably gonna hold up in competition.
Right. Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. So how do you've had some wonderful patterns and styles come out. So how did you decide to partner with those artists and to get those looks?
Well, with Mirkatsu, who
Hmm.
you may be familiar with his artwork, um, man, I still remember when I first reached out to him. I sent him a DM on Instagram, and I remember I told my husband, I was like, well, I'm just going to send him a message. Like, there's a 0% chance he's going to reply, but I'm just
Hmm.
going to send him a message and see what he says. So I sent him this message and, told him about our brand and what we were trying to do differently. And he responded, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, I'm having a conversation with Mirkatsu. Like, at the time I owned like all of his rash guards, I loved his artwork. And so that's kind of how that started. And he's done three sets for us now.
Hmm.
And of course, we love working with him. He's an amazing just person in general. Like, he's so cool, and does amazing work. And yeah, so we love working with him, and we'll continue to do that. And that's kind of like sometimes we give him ideas for the latest piece. Actually, like, he was like, hey, this is something that I've been wanting to draw, and I was like, yes, that sounds great, let's do it. So that goes both ways too. With the other artwork that we do, I'd say we got lucky, but to be honest, I think that we kind of make our own luck in life.
Hmm.
And so, just sort of like with the manufacturing, where I reached out to a ton of manufacturers, I spent so much money on failed artwork before making contact with this one person who does the majority of our artwork now. And we just love him so much. He's amazing. So that, and again, that's like sometimes me and Carla will come to him with ideas, and sometimes, he's like, hey, I would love to draw this for you. And we're like, yes, please, so yeah.
I love it. Having the artist have set the tone for a lot of
Oh
things. That's
yeah.
that's you get the best work out of an artist when they're able to be free.
Yeah, when they want to do what they want to do, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
I know I've been a fan of his artwork for quite some time, and yeah, that's just amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but you mentioned going back a little bit. You mentioned the community, and I know that you have a wonderful community on social media, and you know just a wonderful interaction base with them. And I know that you are involved in supporting small businesses and supporting women juditeras who are wanting to go out and compete. Can you talk about why that was so important for you when you started this company?
Sure. Well, first of all, I now is a good time for me to give credit to Carla for the social media stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't handle any of that anymore. She completely handles all of our social media, and she has taken us from, just having a pretty small community on Instagram to a very large community on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and bringing it all together. So, she does an amazing job with us. She's the one that you talk to when you reach out on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I just definitely want to make sure that she's getting the credit for that. Um, and then, sorry, what was the second part? I got sidetracked.
Oh, no, no, no. So, you were wanting to support,
Yes, yes, yes.
female
Okay,
competitor. Yeah.
sure,
Mm-hmm.
sure. Yeah, so with the eco-friendly side of everything, so we kind of have three core missions, right?
Right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
one is that we want to provide the highest quality training gear to our community.
Mm-hmm.
Two is that we want to be economical about it. We want to support our planet with it. We want every business decision that we make to be underscored by the need to help our planet in some way, or at least preserve it, do what we can, do right by our
Mm-hmm.
planet. And then third is that we want to support other small female owned businesses in our community. Um, why is that important to us? I mean, I think that deep down, all of those things are probably important to everyone in our community, like there's nothing, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to do those things. I feel like, with the ocean cleanup project and eco-friendly stuff, I mean, being gentle with our planet has just always been something that's been important to me ever since the very beginning. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
that when I first started this company, I said to myself, like, that's just always going to be something that underlines what we do from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. And it has been. All of our packaging is, we're moving towards 100% paper, zero plastic, even with our inner packaging, which is expensive, but
Mm-hmm.
for us, it's worth it. It's all curbside recyclable.
That's
We donate to
wonderful.
the ocean cleanup project, all that kind of stuff. And then with the small business thing, man, there's nothing like products from small businesses. Like you just can't compare them to
Hmm.
corporate products. They're not made with the same care and attention to detail, with the same just energy behind them. We love the soaps and bath salts that we get from Lisa Shackelford. She makes all of our
Hmm.
soaps and bath salts. And I mean, she does an incredible job. She sources all the best ingredients. Like, when I partner with her, I trust that she's going to make all of the decisions that morally stand by the decisions that we make with our company. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Her standards are high. She wants the best, all that kind of stuff, and I don't think that I could ask for the same just going with, any random major soap company or like, sourcing it online or something like that. It just wouldn't be
Right.
the same. It wouldn't be the same product for you guys. It wouldn't be the same interactions for us. Same with the stickers and patches. We source those with a small Jujitera owned business as well.
Hmm.
And, the communication is always on point. Like she wants to give us the best product too. And so there's just like this energy there that you don't get working with big companies. And now we've actually
Hmm.
just added a new partnership for keychains as well. So we have a Jujitera that's making keychains for us as well. And they're awesome. They're very cool.
Ooh, that's nice. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see those come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. We actually just dropped them like a week ago, I think. So they are on
Okay.
the website now. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, and I know on top of that mission, you are very involved with sponsorships with your female athletes, and you're really involved in highlighting some of the best and the brightest, so to speak. How do you, get um, a robust sponsorship program that that just kind of keeps pulling in some wonderful talent? How do you reach out to them, and what's that like?
Um, so we used to reach out and find athletes. These days we find that we're getting contacted by, some bigger names ourselves and that they're
Mm-hmm.
finding us. I guess, word of mouth that Gaidama has a good sponsorship and ambassadorship program is getting out there. We, again, like this is less something that we do by looking at what other people are doing and then decide how we're going to compare ourselves, and more of something that has just kind of come from within for us. Like, what can we do to be
Mm-hmm.
the best company for these women that we can be? How much can we give them? And that's really like where we're coming from. We're
Mm-hmm.
not saying what are other people doing and how can we meet that standard. We're saying what standard can we possibly set for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has, just like that drive to support them has um, built the program that we have. I mean, we pay them, some of them, quite a bit of cash money every month for
Mm-hmm.
sales. We pay for competition bonuses. We pay for social media content creation bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
We now pay for uh, seminar bonuses. So if our women teach seminars wearing our gear, we pay them for that. So
Mm-hmm.
we just keep adding these opportunities for them to make money representing our brand, and through that we've built really, really wonderful relationships with the women that we do work with.
Mm-hmm.
We love them, and we think that they love us too. So
Certainly, it certainly seems
yeah,
like it.
it seems that way.
Yeah. I guess just as a just kind of a follow up, where are most of your sponsored? Is it athletes? Are they in the
Mhm.
U.S.? Are they? I would assume most of are in the U.S. But do you have any international or?
We have sponsored some international events. In fact, there's an event in Canada coming up next month that we have helped sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
We have offered some social media sponsorships to international athletes.
Mm-hmm.
It makes the most sense for us to have US based ambassadorships right now, just
Right.
because that's where A, most of our clients are, B, the shipping makes a lot more sense for us and we're shipping
Right.
gear frequently. Like the payments just are easier to handle. It's just everything's
Sure.
easier right now for it to mostly
Mm-hmm.
be in the US, but we do occasionally reach outside the US.
Mm-hmm. Now I know you mentioned that there's a competition you're helping to put on in Canada. I know that you've partnered with AGF. I know you've done some work with Girls and Geese. Tell us a little bit about that event in Canada that's coming up. And then we can, of course, circle back to the other partnerships you have.
Sure. So the event in Canada, it's not actually a competition. It's just like a retreat, like a camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that Fionn Davies and Brianna St. Marie are both teaching at that camp. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that it's going to be super awesome. I wish I could go so bad. Um, but I believe it's a couple days long. And so we've sent some gear and lots of prizes for their raffle drawing and some goodie bags for their gift bags. So that kind of thing is fairly common for us to offer support for different,
Mm-hmm.
women's based events. Like we do that pretty frequently. Um, the partnership with AGF is a little
Mm-hmm.
bit different. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
just something that we love the guys who run AGF. We love
Mm-hmm.
their tournament. Like they run a super professional, very well run event, and we've just been following them around since I was a white belt,
Mm-hmm.
and so now we'll be setting up a bunch of booths with them for this
Awesome.
year. Yeah. Uh, Girls and Geese, we are currently making some spouts for them, which I think that they had out for pre-order recently
Mm-hmm.
to match the rash guards that we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we love working with them. We love Shama.
Mm-hmm.
They're all good people trying to make this world a better place too. So we
Mm-hmm.
love being a part of that same kind of energy. It just really aligns
Mm-hmm.
with what we're doing too. Um, and then, of course, we recently also became the official gear providers for the Women's Air Force Special Warfare Training
Mm-hmm.
Team, which we were also very excited about. So we make them custom gear now as well.
Mm-hmm. It seems like just all the people you are getting connected with are good quality people.
For sure.
And so how do you, I guess, sniff out or ferret out, maybe somebody you do want to work with versus don't want to work with? Because and you bring up great morals and values. How do you figure that out in that process?
Um, some of it is just kind of a gut instinct, I think. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a lot of people in our community that are trying to put on women's events or women's workshops or anything that don't have a
Right.
good, they're not coming from a good place. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that that's like a common problem that I don't, in fact, I don't think I've ever turned anyone down because I got a weird feeling about them. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just doesn't make sense from a business point of view.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, you know, veterinarians have to turn down people sometimes, even though
Mm-hmm.
in their heart, like they would love to
They
save all
would
the
love
cats.
to.
But, so, like people have to make business decisions sometimes. And so,
Mm-hmm.
we find ourselves in a similar place. Like we do
Right.
what we can, but, at the end of the day, we have a budget. And when it gets
Right.
maxed out, then, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. You really can't help if
Yeah.
you've got
Yeah.
no cash. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So we do what we can. And usually when we turn down, it's a business decision and not a personal or,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that.
I got you. I got
Yeah.
you. Now I know there is a big epic open mat event.
Mhm.
I would love to hear what that's about for our audience. What can you tell us?
Yeah. Okay. So we are definitely proud of that event. We love it. This will be our third year to run it. It kind of started out as a a weekend where we would bring in several of our top ambassadors for like
Oh, hello.
uh,
I lost you there for a second.
I did too. Yeah, I lost you too.
Okay.
Tell me where to back up from.
It was 3 years ago. This is your third year. That's where I
Okay.
lost you.
Okay. So it started out as just an opportunity for us to bring in some of our top ambassadors for a big photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just kind of invited the whole community to come train with us since we had some time that evening, and we were all going to just roll. And we had a booth, we set up a booth there, and we probably had like 60 people show up for that
Wow.
open mat, yeah, it was a good turnout and it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. We had a videography crew there as well, so taking some videography for us. We had professional photographers on site, so we had all that. And so, a lot of people came. It was fun. It was good energy. This past year, we outdid ourselves. We had an incredible charcuterie style catering
Oh,
board
I love
there that
it.
was just like this 16-foot spread of like
Oh,
amazing foods. We had some pastries donated by a woman in Oklahoma City who runs like a
Hmm.
French bakery catering thing. Oh, it was incredible. So that was super awesome. We probably had about 100 people at this last event.
Wow.
Again, professional photographers and videographers on site. So we got a ton of, people that came and trained with us. Like we got cool pictures of them rolling. Of course, we had a booth. Everything was, discounted. We dropped new gear on site. We
Ooh.
had women fly in actually from other states to join us this year. So,
Hmm.
um, that was exciting. We had people driving in from all over too.
Hmm.
This year, we hope to do it even bigger and better, possibly even offer like a seminar or workshop by one or two of our, top athletes that come in.
Hmm.
So we're hoping, to keep that trajectory growing as well.
Yeah, it seems like that's
Yeah.
a good increase. If you have 60 the
Yeah.
first and you got
Yeah.
40 extra, who
Yeah.
knows? It may be two times this
We
many this.
hope. Yeah. Yeah. We hope. And it was, uh, this is a pretty unique event because it's focused on women's jujitsu, our
Hmm.
female athletes that come in, the female gear, all this, but it's a co-ed event. So we had
Mm.
a ton of guys come in too. And it's just really cool because, the mats are loaded with girls and guys.
Hmm.
But at the beginning, I introduced the women that we bring in. And so it's just like kind of a cool way to highlight these women in front of a mixed crowd. It's
Yeah.
not like just a women's event where it's women in front of only women, it's women being
Mhm.
highlighted in front of everybody. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we love it. Yeah.
And that's really nice that you're, showcasing these top athletes in a co-ed environment. I
Yeah.
love the female only events, but it's nice to also highlight women, with
In
men
front of
too.
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 What time of year does this epic open mat usually take place?
It's in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sometime probably in October this year, we had it like the very first weekend in November. So
Okay.
yeah, usually sometime after Nogi Pans, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah. That to say that's going to draw a lot of people, a lot of your
yeah.
athletes.
Yeah.
So is it in Oklahoma City? Is that
It's in
where?
Tulsa.
In
It's in
Tulsa.
Tulsa. We're in
Okay.
Tulsa. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
Tulsa, and you mentioned wrestling. I know in Oklahoma, in those areas, that's a
Yeah.
big community,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
draw
We
there.
have a ton of wrestling here. Yeah.
So I guess that would be another good follow-up question. Did you find in sourcing materials, were you going through some channels that the wrestlers for their singlets used, or did you pattern anything off of that singlet design in a way?
So we're actually prototyping singlets right now.
Hey.
We should have them hopefully finish the first round of them finished in the next week or two, which I
Mhm.
have hope that they're going to be good on the first try. I mean, we kind of know what we're doing at this point.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, then we plan to release singlets soon. Um, and when we do, we will also be looking for making connections with high schools and
Mhm.
middle schools and colleges that are looking for women's wrestling singlets because
Mhm.
I've already in the past like 2 months had two separate conversations with people that are involved in women's wrestling programs locally, and
Mhm.
they have the same problem that women in jujitsu have.
Mm.
None of them fit right. They're all see through. They're too low cut right here,
Mm.
and um, a lot of the middle school and high school women's wrestling coaches require that the women wrestlers wear things over
Mm.
or under their singlets for the
Mm.
same reason that we struggled before
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So, we're hoping to be able to release these singlets that have the same double lining in the saddle area that our spats do, and
Mhm.
that provide a little bit more coverage, up top.
Hmm. And you would think in wrestling, because it's female wrestling, I believe. Now, then again, I'm in a state where it just got approved to be in high
Oh,
schools.
oh,
We were the last holdout in Mississippi.
oh, wow. Oh,
We did not have high school wrestling,
oh, wow.
which is crazy because we have so many strong farm boys and farm girls. They
Mhm.
would be killers.
Yeah.
But you would think with wrestling, they would have figured out what females need to not be showing everything, I guess, so to speak.
Well, you would think.
Yeah. And I mean, and it seems, and that was going to be a question I kind of had as a follow up based off of that is with compress, and I'm a weightlifter as well, and finding leggings that don't show everything when you squat down. You would think that would have been figured out by now.
Yeah. I mean, the fabric, it's sort of in the nature of the fabric itself, which is why we
Okay.
have the double lining.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if you think about a piece of fabric, when it stretches, the fibers are pulling apart from one another. And so even if
Mm-hmm.
something looks opaque when it's like this, when it
Mm-hmm.
starts to stretch, that's when we see, the see-through.
Yeah.
So with the second layer, we kind of get this cross hatch pattern underneath so that when both
Mm-hmm.
pieces stretch, the openings are in different places and you don't
Mm-hmm.
see, there's not a see-through
Mm-hmm.
thing going on. But it's hard to, I mean, it may be impossible to make a fabric that's completely 100% not see-through just because of the nature of the stretch. I mean, that's
Right.
just what happens when things change shape.
Right.
Um, yeah. So, but I don't know why no one else thought of putting a second liner in there. Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know power lifters, they have those, full suits if they want to be,
Hmm. Hmm.
in gear, but I don't really want to roll in that because it's not forgiving.
Yeah. That's right. And so that's right. And so the fabrics that are the least see-through usually are not stretchy for that
Mm-hmm.
exact reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's great if you want to help get yourself up out of the hole in a
Yeah.
squat, but
Yeah.
not so great if you're wanting to be stretchy and
Mobile.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I guess I was going to follow up on that with different things that you've noticed. What have you noticed? Because you have such a great sponsorship program, great athletes, what trends have you seen, or how has female jiu-jitsu in the competition scene? What have you noticed starting this company, being on the side of a business? What have you noticed works, doesn't work? What, you understand what I'm asking?
Um, Not really. You mean, sorry.
No, no, it's fine. I realized I lost myself in the middle of that question.
Okay.
Just
Okay. Well,
in
we're
your,
both lost then.
that's great. So I'll dig us out.
Okay.
With running the company, you have a
Uh-huh.
unique perspective working with female athletes,
Sure.
particularly in the no-gi space. What have you noticed um, as far as an athlete in that top level of competition? What have you noticed some evolutions of the
Okay.
style? Yeah.
I think I see where you're going. I'll
Mhm.
answer, and maybe it's not the answer you're looking for,
It's all
but I'll
right.
give you what I got. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So from my perspective, um, I think that the thing that I've noticed the most is just that there is so much more talent now
Hmm.
than there was 7 years ago. I feel like 7 years ago, we were looking at like a handful of female athletes that were like the face of women's jujitsu. And
Hmm.
now it's like, what is the face of women's jujitsu? There's so
Right.
many amazing female athletes now. And so I think that, that is not just a testament to the fact that women's jujitsu is growing, but that women's jujitsu in a professional sense is growing, that
Hmm.
these women are looking to make careers out of this and earn their living based on our sport, which is awesome.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know if that's what you were looking for or not,
No,
but
that's absolutely
yeah.
absolutely great answer. I know as a now, are you still an active competitor? Are you, have you taken a step aside because of the business, which absolutely would make sense because it is a full-time job, but
Well, okay, so in my 7.5 year is coming up on 7.5 years of training, I've had two
Mhm.
babies.
Ah,
So my youngest just turned one,
hmm.
and the two babies and the business have been a lot,
Hmm.
but I have competed a few times in the past couple years since they were born. I actually now, but now, so I'm a brown belt.
Hmm.
I compete at like whatever, depending on the tournament, 125 to 135, whatever the tournament weight is.
Hmm.
Um, it's hard to find competition. I sign up for every AGF, but there's never anybody in my
No.
bracket. Um, uh, so I'm signed up for the Houston IBJJF in May. So
Okay.
that's going to be, the first competition for a while for me. So I'm going to go shake off some rust there. But,
Okay.
you know, um, I don't, we're so focused here. My husband and I also own a gym.
Hmm.
So, we have that going on. We have two babies. I run this business. It's difficult for us to take our whole family up out of that and go
Right.
compete, you know?
Mhm,
So we
mhm,
don't travel very often for competition anymore like we used to, but
mhm.
I would like to do it more. So
Yeah.
this year I'm gonna try to do a couple. So that's the
Yeah.
plan.
Well, about to say, small children, especially a 1-year-old, they don't travel very well.
Well, to be honest, like the at one, it's easier than at two. So I have a 1 year old, and then my son is about to turn 3 in a month, and he's really the one that's more challenging, I
Uh,
think. Yeah,
so
the toddler. Yeah.
yeah, the
Mhm.
terrible twos and threes. Yes,
That's
yes.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
Those are fun to navigate on an airplane. Yeah,
mhm. Goodness, goodness. Yeah.
yeah.
And then you could be like my parents and pack up a Suburban and go cross country, but that's its
We
own headaches. So,
Yeah, we do that sometimes, but a 5 hour trip turns into a 10 hour trip when you have to stop every 40 minutes, So
yeah, yeah.
we do it sometimes, but it's just not our top priority right now.
Mhm. Well, that's very understandable.
Yeah, yeah,
You've got so many wonderful things going in your life that,
yeah,
if competition has to take a side, that's
yeah.
okay.
It'll be there again. Yeah. And like I said, I'm signed up in May, so I'm
Yes,
gonna go do
yes, yes. So
it.
hopefully, we bring
Yeah.
home that goal. So that'll
No,
be,
yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm shaking rust off.
uh,
I'm gonna show up and do what I can.
there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, I'm making the assumption because of your company, are you a no-gi preference or gi preference? I'm assuming
I
no-gi.
Well, we train both,
Okay.
yeah, all the time. So we
Hmm.
train a good mix of both.
Hmm.
I probably do lean towards Snogi
Hmm.
a little bit, but we like both and we train both.
Hmm.
Yeah.
About to say that's going to be a very. What is the distance from Houston to Tulsa? I would imagine.
It's about an 8 hour drive.
Okay. Okay. It's about 6 hours from where we're at. So you just y'all are up here, we're over here.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. We make a triangle. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Um, a question would be, have you looked into, and I'm assuming it would be a lot of hoops to jump through, but there are those vendor booths and vendor sponsorships with IBJJF. Is that something that y'all have looked at or
We
considered?
have. Yeah,
Mhm.
we have considered it. We since we've already paid a bunch of money to partner with AGF this year,
Mhm.
we're we have a fairly packed schedule, like trying
Mhm.
to, make sure that we're getting our money's worth out of that.
Mhm.
It's possible that we'll get a booth with them a little bit later on, but it just kind of depends. I mean, to be honest, like whenever there's an IBJJF nearby, like we
Mhm.
want to compete in it, and it's really hard to compete and run a booth at the same time.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's definitely something we've considered, just not something that we've ever pulled the trigger on.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be, like you said, very difficult to do both, compete and
It's
run a
tough.
booth. Yeah,
It's tough. It's a lot.
yeah. So when I guess I should say with the AGF, I guess that is something where it just happened to be the right people, the right time, and there's so many events. I would think that's just more of a great benefit to your business since there seems to be like 3 every week.
There's a ton of AGF events. They're growing so fast,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a really strong um, uh, their stronghold, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is in our area. Like
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Tulsa are like their biggest events. And
Mm-hmm.
so, it's easy for us to make some money working booths that are local to us with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like you said, there's just so many AGF events. I mean, there's like 4 every weekend,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like. So they're growing fast. We love what they're doing. We love them. Like it's easy communication for us. Sometimes it's difficult to even start a conversation with the IBJJF. In a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
like it's you know we know the people at AGF, and so like it's easy to get a response and work something out. But that's not to say that we're not interested in partnering with
Mm-hmm.
IBJJF one day. It just uh, wasn't convenient and like the obvious next choice for us, like AGF was.
Mm. Yeah, then that makes sense. When you have those connections already, it just
Yeah.
seems like the next logical
Right.
progression.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to get your input since you said you and your husband run a gym. What's that like running a gym with your husband and the day to day? What's that like?
Um, I mean, it's just part of life now. It's hard to compare it to anything else because it's just what we've been doing for so long. Um, he started the gym, like I said, before I met him, but he had just opened it like just a few months before I started training.
Hmm.
And so, after we started dating and eventually got married and everything, I became a 50% owner of it. So we now own
Hmm.
it 50-50. Um, but, it's just, I guess it's easy in a way because, we both just love it so much. Like um, we just show up and
Hmm.
and keep it clean and train and help nurture the environment that we want there. And
Hmm.
you know it's
Yeah.
not nearly as much work as Gaidama.
You talk about nurturing an environment, and what kind of environment are you looking for in your gym, or that you have found you have been able to establish at the gym?
Well, I think that I got lucky because that was the first gym I ever walked into.
Hmm.
And Matt came from a gym that had a very encouraging, supportive, welcoming environment. So that was kind of what he was used to.
Hmm.
And so when he opened his gym, like he decided that those were the same standards that he wanted to hold for his gym. And so then that just kind of naturally, organically got passed down to me because I've
Hmm.
also never known anything else. I mean, obviously, I've gone to cross train at other gyms, and not all gyms are created equal.
Right.
But as far as like building up the first few years of my jujitsu journey, like that's all I knew was just this healthy kind of, you know,
Hmm.
supportive space where all ages and genders and
Hmm.
intensities were welcome to come and train.
Hmm.
So that's what we want to do. We just want to provide a space for people that want to play recreational jujitsu, people that want to make professional competitive careers out of it, you know,
Hmm.
women, men, seniors, children, everybody can come and feel welcome and get good training.
Yeah, and that's sometimes that can be, you're definitely very blessed, because sometimes when you're first starting out in those jujitsu gyms in those early days, you get all the really hardcore MMA
Yeah,
fans, and that
yeah,
kind of can run off some people.
yeah.
Um, so,
Yeah, yeah. You never know what kind of gym you're going to walk into, but you're right. I feel very fortunate that that's where my jujitsu journey started because, you know, most of the gyms I've been to also are awesome. But,
yeah.
once you've been training long enough, you've found yourself at a gym that wasn't so awesome
Hmm.
at some point. And, I'm not sure that if I was at a gym that there were, you know, just I don't know. I may not have stuck with it, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
I
depending on
got
the
you.
environment, you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Oh yeah,
Like,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
About to say, I don't want to be rolling around with a bunch of meatheads that are just trying to kill
yeah,
me
yeah,
all the
yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah.
So how many women do y'all have? Do you have a good
Um,
crowd, or?
I think that probably like 15 to 15% of our team is women. So we have
Hmm.
a pretty solid
Yeah,
group of females that train with us.
that's awesome.
Um, we until this year when we started our partnership with AGF, and I'm just going to be gone like 2 to 3 weekends a month, every month it
Right.
seems like.
Hmm.
I was on every Saturday holding a women's only class, and so we had
Hmm.
sometimes up to 20 women from the community come and train
Oh,
with us
that's
at like a
great.
women's class.
Hmm.
So that was a lot of fun. We all got good cross training in and got to roll together and everything.
Hmm.
Um, I can't do it now just because I can't commit to it anymore.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. And it seems that, whenever you have a gym that welcomes, and I would imagine because you're, male and female running it, you have, two people who seem to say, hey, everybody's welcome, and we literally have equal representation.
Hmm.
That absolutely will bring in females, and they'll feel more comfortable, I would imagine.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that anytime when a female comes into a gym, if there's another woman on the mats, it immediately feels like, okay, I guess it is okay for me to be here.
Hmm.
Because sometimes especially as a woman coming into this sport, if you come into a gym with just a bunch of dudes and you're like, is this a sport girls can do? Like, am I, you know what I mean?
Right.
But to see another woman training, solidifies the fact that yes, it is.
Hmm. And I guess kind of a follow up with that, because sometimes when I've taught, I've not met this resistance just because everybody knows me here. It's a small, very small community where I'm at. Do you have any resistance when you're teaching a co-ed class for, maybe they're a newer member? Do they resist when you teach, or do they only want to learn from your husband? I have
Um,
run into that just at not me teaching, but I have noticed some people have that mentality. I just didn't know if you had run into that.
um, I have only taught a handful of classes before.
Mm-hmm.
So usually Matt teaches most of
Okay.
the classes, and then we have other people that teach the classes that neither of us train at.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly I train when he teaches because
Mm-hmm.
I think he has all the sauce and I want to get it. I have taught a handful of co-ed classes though, and I have
Mm-hmm.
never felt um, like I wasn't respected or anything. I think that
Mm-hmm.
the people at our gym do have respect for me and appreciate my jujitsu and are happy to hear what I have to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't recall ever having that feeling.
Well, that's very wonderful,
Yeah.
and it's probably too because the background with the wrestling and the grappling just in the area, they know women can certainly
Yeah,
do it.
for sure. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure.
I know. I'm trying. Have you seen Physical 100 on Netflix?
I haven't, no,
Okay,
no.
you got to look into it. It's a
Okay.
Korean competition show, and there was a female sand wrestler,
Oh,
and
wow.
she called out a guy, and there was they were kind of talking. There was the assumption, well, he's just gonna run over her, and just immediately when they started grappling, the respect for her went way up because she knew what she was
That's so awesome.
doing. So I'd imagine it's kind of a similar uh,
Yeah. Once
thing
you start
there.
training, like
Mhm.
you're like, oh, okay, jujitsu works. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
my goodness. So, have you ever brought? I know your babies are itty bitty, but do they ever watch Mama? On the mats.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. I mean, they come to the gym with us every time we go to the gym. Yeah. They're there
Hmm.
all the time.
So
Yeah.
you're about just turned 3, you said.
He's going to be 3 in a little over a month. Yeah.
Got you. So
And she
does
just turned 1. So I have
Oh
a
my
1 and a 2 year
goodness,
old. Yeah.
my goodness. So does the about to be 3-year-old does she get excuse me he get on the mat ever, like mama?
Oh yeah, yeah. So we had during the summer we offer like a 3 to 5 year old class for like little tiny kids,
Yeah.
and he was only a little over 2 at the time when we did it, but he jumped
Hmm.
on in there with them also, and so he was in there. Oh, it was so funny to watch him do like bear crawls and sprawls and try to do push-ups. It was so yeah. He's out there trying to playing the mount.
Oh.
And at home, like all we do is jujitsu. So like,
Hmm.
at home we wrestle around with them and stuff and teach him different positions and.
So do you think that he's caught the bug a little bit, or what do you
I
think?
mean, it's so he's so young. Like it's
Oh
hard,
yeah.
I mean, he loves it. He loves being around it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, my husband and I have joked that we're going to do reverse psychology on our child. We'll go and we'll say, "You can't do this," and
Mm,
so eventually they'll be like, "No, I've got to do it," and so we'll have a bunch of killers on the mat.
yeah, yeah. That's how it works. Yeah.
Hmm.
They
I
all want to
know.
do what you don't want them to do.
And we both were, well, just because you said I couldn't. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
now I'm going to
Yeah.
have to.
That's right. Yeah. Need to prove you wrong. Just a second.
Yes. Well, speaking of children, and it's an interesting pivot, but that makes me think about the future. What do you see as the future for your company? I know we've talked about a lot of things dropping. What are some big vision goals for your future that you see?
Well, like I said, trying to get the geese out the door is like kind of a big deal for us that
Mm-hmm.
we're like really pushing towards the finish line on. Um, Getting into the wrestling is kind of a big deal because that would open up a lot of like wholesale opportunities for us with, different schools around the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Otherwise, like we just want to continue building on what we have and seeing where it goes. Like there's not like a goal necessarily or a target that we're trying to hit. We're really
Mm-hmm.
just like, how far can we go? Like
Mm-hmm.
how awesome can we make this?
Mm-hmm.
And so every day, like it's just like, okay, what can I do today to make a little bit more of a difference? And that's really what we're building off of.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that we definitely want to expand on what we offer as far as like, you know, um, social content and like YouTube content
Mm-hmm.
and instructionals, that kind of thing. Um, we definitely want to continue to support more women and events in jujitsu. Like is the we want to go more broad and deeper, give more to
Mm-hmm.
the people that we're already some more supporting, and find more people and events to support.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to be able to hold our own like 8-person tournament kind of circuit, like a
Yeah.
Gaidama
Mm-hmm.
fight club kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, we'd like to do some retreats. We've talked about because we're really into like the ocean cleanup thing. We've talked about
Mm-hmm.
doing like a jujitsu coastal retreat and like doing
Yeah.
like an ocean pickup event, and then
That'd be
getting like some
awesome.
fresh fish and doing just like some fun stuff, jujitsu and beach kind of activities, for a weekend.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of fun stuff that
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to make happen and realize, and just trying to grow the business, grow the brand, grow the
Mm-hmm.
reach, grow the platforms, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I know that keeping that mission of wanting to give back and just be focused
Always.
on people, that's
Yeah,
just
always.
when you have that kind of an attitude and an outlook, it just good things can't help but happen, right? At
That's so
least,
true.
and I mean, who knows where it could lead? It could just spread like wildfire, and it's already spreading like wildfire, but just put even more gasoline on it. And I know I'm a huge fan of your company, of your products.
Thank you.
And it seems from the first time I had the spats, they were great, and they just kind of keep getting better, which is always
Thank
a
you.
good thing.
Thank you.
So the internal drawstring now is great. I kept losing mine, but
Thank
now
you.
it's internal. But just I guess also as an additional looking forward to those geese, and I'm wondering what would that look like, and what kind of sizes are you looking at? Is it going to be those female based sizes? Is it going to, because I know you offer a lot of body inclusive gear, so I was just wondering how many SKUs do you think you're going to end up doing on that?
Well, that's part of the reason it's taking us so
Ah,
long.
got you.
We currently have 20 sizes that
Wow,
we're working with. Yeah.
that's a lot.
Um, yeah, we may keep that number too. Like
Mm-hmm,
that's what we're targeting right now, is to get right.
mm-hmm,
So we're just trying to test every different size, and make sure that they all fit right, and making
mm-hmm,
adjustments here and there as we need to.
mm-hmm,
Because one issue that I think that a lot of women have with gis is that, you go to a company and buy a gi and there's like either 0 sizes for females or there's like 6,
mm-hmm.
and like there's just too many different body types for there to be only 6 sizes.
Right.
And so, um, and a lot of like either really tall women or really wide women, or, there's just a lot of shapes that don't fit into one of those size categories. And so, we're just trying to offer as much variety as we can so that women of any shape or size can have a gi that fits them well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of what's taking so long. We've also played a little bit with waistband ideas.
Okay.
So we'll see. I don't want to say too much because
Yeah.
things are still in the prototyping phase, but there
Mm-hmm.
are, definitely things that, we've been experimenting with that aren't super traditional, I'll say. But,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll see.
Well, I know just from past experience, whatever you release is going to be top notch.
Well, that's why, I mean, we hope so, that's the goal.
Mhm.
Like, that's why we don't want to just release something now because we want it to be right when it
Right.
drops.
Right. You want V1 to be 100% and
Yeah.
V2.
Well,
Yeah.
100% is pretty difficult to aim for.
Well,
But yeah, yeah, we want it to be as close as it can be though.
right. Yeah.
Like we understand that there will be iterations to improve upon in the future, as
Hmm.
we will continue to do with the rest of our products, but we want it to be as close to awesome and perfect as it can be.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think, and I think I'm so glad that you said how long it's been in development, because sometimes I think we as consumers just assume, well, why can't they just spit that out right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. It's not ready.
No, it's not, and that shows that you have such a meticulous, attention to detail. Whereas, not to speak poorly of other companies that are larger, but they
Mhm.
may be more interested in getting that money, as opposed to the quality of the product.
Yeah. And there is a balance to be made. I mean, um, if we keep prototyping forever and don't
Yeah.
ever release anything, then we're missing a bunch of opportunity for revenue, which you need
Mm-hmm.
revenue to grow, which you need growth to continue to provide new things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely like a balance to shoot for.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like we just we want our reputation to be upheld with what we release. We
Mm-hmm.
want everything to meet the standards that we've said we were going to
Mm-hmm.
provide.
Mm-hmm. And I know as a customer and speaking on behalf of other customers, that's something that we greatly appreciate. And I know for me, when I try to find, good quality rash guards, or, I was so excited when you released rash guards, uh, because it's just like the spats. I know that it's going to fit well. I know it's going to do what it needs to do. And I'm not going to end up looking, horrible on the mat, showing everything I got.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
and
Thank you.
I know I can't wait to see what else, y'all release. It's just going to be amazing quality, great stuff.
Thank
Uh,
you.
if I can't stress enough to the listeners, if you haven't tried it, tried their gear, try their gear. You won't go back. I trust me.
Thank you.
Well, anything else that you would like to add? I mean, you have so much going on in your life. I appreciate you taking the time, but anything you'd like to add that we didn't touch? I know it's so much, but.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. And
Mhm.
like I really appreciate you having me on your podcast, Sarah. It's nice to meet you
Yeah.
virtually. I really appreciate it. And
Hmm.
yeah, I hope that we can continue to stay in touch. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And maybe next time I won't have pneumonia and having to reschedule.
Yeah,
So,
I'm so sorry about that. I'm glad that you're finally feeling better. That's rough.
oh yeah, me too. It
Yeah.
was on my birthday, no less.
Oh,
So,
I'm so sorry. Oh,
but
man, of course it was.
yeah, but at least as a teacher, I had 2 weeks to recover. So,
Well,
but yes, yes. Well, anytime you want to be on the show, I'll reach out. But if you want to drop a line, say hi, we're here. So
okay. Thank you so much. It's been
thank you.
fun.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.